I can't believe I did that. Those words have been on repeat in my head ever since, but they bring me no relief. I sat on the bed, hugging my knees, phone in hand, scrolling through the photos from the bachelorette party, when I saw him. The handsome guy with whom it all happened. But it's not just the image, it's the feelings, the emotions that rush back. It's all so new, so intense. I never thought I'd find myself in a situation like this. But let me start from the beginning. It all started with the feeling that I needed something new in my life. And I'm not talking about drastic changes like changing careers or moving to a new city. No, I mean something more personal, something that's always been there, lurking in the back of my mind, waiting for its moment. I had a good life, a husband, a job, friends. Everything was fine, but something inside me, deep down, longed for something different. Something exciting. My bachelorette party was that chance. The opportunity I couldn't pass up. The atmosphere was light, carefree, friends, laughter, alcohol. I felt free in a way I hadn't felt in a long time. It was a typical weekend away, at a lakeside cabin, and everything seemed perfect. We were having fun, talking, dancing, and then I saw him. He was with some of our mutual friends. Young, fit, with bright, confident eyes. He wasn't my usual type, but that didn't matter at the moment. There was something about him. A confidence, a little bit of edge, and an undeniable charm that drew me in. He wasn't like the guys I was used to. And I couldn't ignore that pull. I felt a little off balance, like I was finally living in the present moment. We started talking, and the more I listened to him, the more I felt at ease. He was funny, charismatic, and in that moment, he seemed so different from the people I spent my days with. I wasn't looking for anything to happen, but when I realized he was interested too, I felt a sudden rush. Something shifted. Something snapped. I had never cheated before. Hell, I always told myself I wouldn't. I loved my husband. We had built a life together. But in that moment, I wasn't thinking about that. I was thinking about the here and now. About the spark, the desire. I wanted to feel something different. Something thrilling. He wasn't some random guy. He was someone who was offering me an escape, a break from my usual life. No strings attached. Just a new experience. It felt so freeing. He leaned in closer, his cologne mixed with the fresh, earthy scent of the lake, and the tension between us built slowly, almost like a game. I could feel the heat between us, and I didn't back away. Instead, I let myself lean in, and that's when he kissed me. It was sudden, but not entirely unexpected. A kiss full of promise of something I hadn't felt in so long. Excitement, passion, something I didn't even know I was missing. I kissed him back. And I knew, even as it was happening, that I was making a choice. Not just a choice about him, but about me. About wanting more than what my life had become. It wasn't about my husband, it wasn't about betrayal. At least, not at first. It was about me needing something for myself, something that wasn't tied to the expectations of marriage, of responsibility. Something wild. Afterward, I remember feeling a bit dazed, unsure of what I'd just done, but the feeling didn't last long. It was replaced by exhilaration, by a sense of power and control. I didn't regret it. I don't know if that's what I was supposed to feel, but I felt alive in a way I hadn't in years. I've been trying to justify it ever since, trying to make sense of what happened. Maybe I'll never fully understand why I did it, but I know that in that moment, I was just trying to grab onto something new, something exciting. I've been so stuck in my routine, in the comfort of my marriage, that I forgot what it was like to feel spontaneous, to feel alive. But now, I have to face the consequences of my actions. It's not as simple as just letting it go. I can't pretend it didn't happen. And soon, my husband will know. It's only a matter of time before the truth comes out. But for now, I can't help but wonder, was it worth it? I don't know what I expected. Maybe I thought it would stay buried, like some secret locked away in a distant part of my mind. Maybe I thought I could forget about it, that the excitement would eventually fade, and life would go on like it always had. But secrets have a way of coming out. And when they do, they don't gently tiptoe into the light. They explode, crashing everything in their path. It happened 2 weeks after the bachelorette party. I was sitting at the kitchen table, sipping my coffee, when my husband, Eric, came home earlier than usual from work. He looked a little distracted, like he had something on his mind, but he didn't say anything. "How was your day?" I asked, trying to sound casual, even though my heart was racing. I didn't know why, but I suddenly had a bad feeling. Like something was about to happen. He dropped his briefcase on the counter, his face a little more serious than usual. "Good?" Actually, not so good, he said, his voice low. He looked at me, his eyes almost searching, as if he were trying to figure out something. I need to talk to you about something. I froze, my mind immediately running through everything. Did he know? How could he possibly know? I hadn't said anything to anyone, and I hadn't told a soul about what happened at the party. The last few weeks had been normal, just the usual routine. My guilt had started to settle down, though I could never quite shake the feeling of being different. Not fully myself. What's going on? I asked, trying to sound calm, but I could feel my pulse quickening. Eric looked at me for a long moment before he spoke again. His words came slowly, like he wasn't sure how to say them. Did you get a message from Megan? He paused. She sent you some photos, right? From the party? My stomach dropped. Megan. She had been there with me. We'd been friends for years. I knew what this was about. I nodded, trying to play it cool, but my face must have betrayed me. There was no hiding the sudden panic that rushed through me. Yeah, she sent me some pictures, I said, hoping I sounded more casual than I felt. Eric pulled his phone out of his pocket, holding it out for me to see. The screen displayed a picture of me from the party. It was a candid shot, taken while I was laughing, surrounded by friends. But it wasn't just the picture. I could see the message, the conversation thread with Megan. And there it was, a video clip. A short, blurry moment. But I could tell what it was. It was me, kissing him. The guy from the party. My heart pounded in my chest, my breath catching in my throat. How could Megan have sent that to him? Why? What was she thinking? I didn't mean for this to happen, I said quickly, but my voice sounded small. Eric didn't say anything at first. He just stared at me, his eyes narrowing, like he was processing what he had just seen. And for the first time in a long time, I saw something in his eyes that I hadn't noticed before. Hurt. Did you do this for fun? He finally asked, his voice almost too calm. Was it just a joke to you? I didn't know how to respond. I wanted to tell him the truth. I wanted to tell him that it wasn't about him. That it wasn't about me not loving him. But somehow, I couldn't find the right words. I had put myself in this mess, and now I had to deal with the consequences. I don't know what to say, I whispered, looking down at my hands, which were trembling. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I wasn't thinking straight. It just happened. Eric sighed deeply, rubbing his forehead with one hand, looking defeated. I could see how much this was hurting him, and it made me feel like I was being suffocated. I trusted you, he said quietly, almost to himself. I thought we were good. I thought we were happy. I am happy? I said, my voice breaking. But, I don't know. I just wanted something different. I didn't think about how this would affect you. Or us. He shook his head, his lips tight. You didn't think. So, what, you just wanted to, what? Feel wanted? Feel sexy that it? No. It wasn't about you not being enough? I said quickly, my voice rising. It was just, I don't know, okay? I didn't plan it. It just happened. I wasn't thinking. And now I regret it. He stood up abruptly, pacing around the kitchen. You didn't plan it, huh? But you're telling me it just happened. You kissed him without even thinking about what it would mean. About how it would tear everything apart. I didn't want to hurt you, I said, my voice almost pleading. But I felt like I needed something different. Something for me, not just for us. And now I see how stupid it was, but I can't take it back. Eric stopped pacing and looked at me, his face tense, his jaw clenched. There was a long pause, and I could see the wheels turning in his mind as he tried to process everything. Do you want to be with me? He asked, his voice so quiet I almost didn't hear him. I do. I whispered, my eyes filling with tears. I really do. But I screwed up, I messed up, Eric. And I don't know what to do to make it right. He shook his head, a bitter smile pulling at the corner of his mouth. I don't know, either. I really don't. The days after the confrontation were numb. It felt like we were walking through a fog, both of us stuck in this space where words didn't seem to matter anymore. Eric didn't bring it up again, but the silence between us was unbearable. It hung there like a thick cloud, suffocating everything. Every time I looked at him, I saw the hurt in his eyes. Every time he looked at me, I could feel the weight of what I'd done pressing down on us both. We didn't talk much after that first conversation. The usual routines continued. Work, dinners, the small talk that kept the house from feeling completely empty. But I knew something had shifted. And no matter how hard I tried to act normal, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were just pretending. Pretending that everything was okay. pretending that our marriage hadn't just been torn apart by my own selfish actions. I tried to make things right, I really did. But nothing felt right anymore. One night, about a week after the confrontation, we were sitting on the couch, both of us glued to our phones, the TV playing in the background. The silence was unbearable, and the distance between us had never felt so wide. I couldn't stand it anymore. I had to say something, do something, anything to break the tension. Eric, I started, my voice shaky. I know things aren't the same, and I hate that. I hate feeling like we're strangers now. He didn't look up from his phone, but I could tell he was listening. After a long pause, he put the phone down on the coffee table and turned toward me. His face was tired, drained. You think I don't hate it too? He asked, his voice quiet. You think I'm just sitting here, pretending everything is fine? You have no idea how much this is eating at me. I felt the tears start to well up in my eyes, but I forced them back. I never meant for this to happen. It was a stupid, impulsive decision. I thought it would be a one-time thing, something to shake things up. But now look at us. Look at what I've done. You didn't think? He said sharply. You didn't think about how this would destroy everything. Did you even think about me, about us? Of course I did, I said, my voice rising. But I was so caught up in, I don't even know. It felt like I needed to do something for myself. Something that wasn't just about being your wife. I've been living for everyone else. And I forgot about myself. But that doesn't make what I did right. I know that. Eric looked away, rubbing his eyes like he was trying to push back the frustration and pain. I could feel how hard this was for him. I could see how much it was tearing him apart, and that realization made everything worse. You want me to forgive you, don't you? He said after a long silence, his tone flat. I nodded, my voice barely a whisper. I do, more than anything. He let out a slow breath, his shoulders slumping. I don't know if I can forgive you, though. Not yet, maybe not ever. That hit me harder than I expected. I knew, deep down, that forgiveness wasn't something that could be demanded or expected. It was something that had to be earned. But hearing it from him so coldly was a wake-up call. I understand, I said quietly, wiping a tear from my cheek. I understand if you need time. But I will do whatever it takes, Eric. I don't want to lose you. He was quiet for a long time, and I couldn't read his expression. Then, finally, he spoke again. Why did you do it? His voice was more of a question than an accusation. What was it about him that made you do something so reckless? I had thought about this question a lot since the night of the party. Why did I do it? Why him? It was hard to admit, but I knew the truth. I don't know, I said honestly, my voice breaking. I think I just wanted something different. Something exciting. Something that wasn't about being responsible or being the wife. It was stupid. I thought I could just have a little thrill, a little fun, and it wouldn't matter. But it does. It all matters now. Eric stared at me for a long moment, and I could see that he was processing what I had said. I could see the conflict in his eyes. The part of him that still loved me, the part of him that wanted to trust me again, and the part of him that was so hurt, so angry, that he didn't know if he could ever let it go. Finally, he stood up, his voice low. I don't know if I can forget this. I don't know if I can trust you again, and I don't know if I want to try. But I'm not ready to give up on us yet. I need space to think. I watched him walk toward the door, and for a moment, I felt like the world had collapsed around me. I had no idea where we were going from here. All I knew was that the road ahead was unclear, and I had no one to blame but myself. I spent the next few days in a daze. Every time I tried to speak to Eric, he shut me down. It wasn't that he was cold, not exactly. He just didn't seem to have the words. Or maybe he was afraid that if he said something, he'd end up saying everything. I could see it in his eyes. He was fighting with himself, battling his own emotions, torn between what we had built and what I had destroyed. I tried to give him space, even though it felt like I was suffocating. I could barely sleep, barely eat. The guilt kept me up at night, twisting in my stomach. I couldn't believe how I'd gotten myself into this mess, and every time I saw Eric, I felt like I was a stranger in my own life. I didn't know who I was anymore. The woman who could do something like this, or the woman who had promised to love and honor her husband for the rest of her life. But then, late one night, he came to me. I was sitting in the living room, staring blankly at the TV, when I heard the familiar sound of footsteps behind me. I turned to see Eric standing in the doorway, his face a mix of exhaustion and something else I couldn't quite place. We need to talk, he said quietly. I nodded, my heart pounding. I knew this was coming. I knew we had to face the inevitable, and the weight of it made my chest tighten. He sat down next to me on the couch, but there was an uncomfortable distance between us. He didn't touch me, didn't make any effort to close the space between us. I could feel the walls he had built around himself, and I understood why. How could he not? After everything that had happened, could I really expect him to just forget? I've been thinking, Eric said, his voice low. A lot. About what you said. About what happened. And about us. My breath caught in my throat. I was afraid to hear what was coming, but I couldn't look away. I needed to know. I don't know if I can forgive you, he continued, his words heavy with truth. Not yet, anyway. But I've been asking myself something. If I can't forgive you, then what? What happens to us? I didn't know how to respond. Part of me wanted to beg, to tell him that I'd do anything to make it right, but another part of me knew that it wasn't enough. Saying sorry wasn't going to fix this. It was going to take more than that. It would take time, patience, and most of all, trust. I don't know what to do either, I said quietly. I love you, Eric, and I made the biggest mistake of my life. But I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose us. I don't know how to fix it. He was quiet for a long time, his eyes on the floor, like he was trying to find the right words. Finally, he spoke again, his voice softer this time. I'm not sure I can trust you the way I did before, he said, the sadness in his voice cutting through me. And I don't know if I'll ever feel the same. I can't just turn that off. It's not that simple. I know, I whispered. It's not simple. It never was. But I will work on earning that trust back, Eric. I'll do whatever it takes. If you'll let me. He looked at me then, really looked at me, and I saw the hurt in his eyes, but there was something else too. A flicker of something that wasn't quite hope, but wasn't entirely resentment either. I don't know what that looks like, he said. I don't know what it means to rebuild this. But I'm not ready to give up on us just yet. And that was the moment I realized something. Even though we didn't have the answers, even though the road ahead was uncertain, we were both still here, trying. We weren't ready to walk away, not yet. I don't want to give up on us either, I said, my voice trembling. But I know I have to prove to you that I'm worth trusting again. And I will. I'll spend the rest of my life trying to show you that I can be the woman you deserve. He nodded slowly, then reached out, his hand hovering for a second before resting gently on mine. It wasn't a grand gesture, but it was a small step forward. Maybe it wasn't forgiveness yet, but it was something. We'll take it one day at a time, Eric said quietly. And I don't expect it to be easy, but I'm willing to try. We sat there for a long time, not saying much more. There were no promises, no guarantees. But for the first time in weeks, I felt like there was a glimmer of hope. Maybe it wouldn't be enough to fix everything. Maybe we'd never be the same as we once were. But at least we were still trying.